friends, this is Aromie here. Welcome back to our live Baxter DLC. We're here. Baxter's trying to tell Terry, just go in the fucking water. He'll be fine. Not being in the water.
Seriously?
Like what? I surf. I have a dad whose entire business is about water-based activities. I went on a jet ski when I was 8. What could he have done? He notably didn't mention the results of his young jet skiing adventure, and Baxter didn't show any hint of doubt about Cove's accomplishments. Baxter straightforwardly answered the question instead. Skinny dipping. Oh. Cove, you didn't do that. I... Gotcha. He gotcha. Cove's jaw dropped. That suggestion left him scandalized and the reddest you've ever seen him. That doesn't count. So you haven't done it then. You might want to, especially since you already enjoy the water. It is rather liberating. Baxter was making an honest recommendation. You could tell it wasn't his intention to come across mocking Cove's lack of experience there. However, Cove was still completely thrown. That suggestion of Baxter's was even worse than implying he was more confident in the water than Cove. The silent beat was broken by Miranda's embarrassed attempt to stifle her giggles with the palm of her hand. Her cheeks had grown flushed, and you knew it would be a while until she was confident enough to even dare to make eye contact with Baxter again. Terry, meanwhile, gave Baxter an impressed nod and then instantly lost all composure. She fell into a boisterous fit of laughter, holding tightly onto her own stomach. You're amused too. You were even more nervous about it than Randy. Who is Randy? You didn't think it was a big deal? Personally, it was a TMI. No, I think I would laugh, honestly. That was a gotcha moment. Face-palming, you shook your head in an attempt to be disapproving, but the moment you picked up Baxter, there was no stopping the wide grin stretching ear to ear. Of course he'd been skinny dipping, and of course he was dropping that fact without hesitation in front of 4 people he hardly knew.
Is that fine?
Did I say something wrong? The playful note in his voice told you everything you needed to know. Baxter was fully aware and enjoying the bit of chaos he unleashed on the group. He exhaled deeply and did not comment. No one else added anything on the topic of Baxter's skinny dipping adventures either. It was back to the drawing board on what to do next. After a while, the gang mutually decided it would be best to go do something that was not water-based. The 5 of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest while you found the most colorful. Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games, so just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all had ran out of water, drinkable water anyway. It was decided that you headed to Cove's house or yours. Things were gathered and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What's next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever.
Yeah?
Same, I guess we can keep hanging out. Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in expectation. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. What? Baxter didn't react. No one was overtly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite a meal time. We could get dessert. Miranda put... Oh, right. This fucking DLC is a crepe, isn't it? We haven't even gone to the crepe part yet. Miranda put a finger on her lip and thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that would be fun. Tara considered it and shot Miranda a thumbs up. Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. I'm fine with that if everyone else wants to. When the topic of dessert was raised, Baxter hummed with interest. This caught everyone's attention, as nothing else had drawn a comment from him in a while.
What do you think?
If that is the next event, would we be willing to try ice cream and similar frozen treats? I like the sound of that.
Why?
Is it a crepe? I thought it was a picture for a crepe. But why? Baxter shook his head ruefully. Truthfully, the one thing I have wanted to do while I am here is to see an ice cream truck in person. What? My hometown doesn't have one, and neither is there one around my campus. It is a summer tradition that I have missed. They're like, what the fuck? An ice cream truck? You and Cove stared at him blank-faced. Miranda pressed her lips together and shot a glance at Terry. Her expression was like a stone. That was a dramatic drop in mood. Am I being gotchily touristy right now? He was entirely off in the gas. Baxter could only watch helplessly as the people around him remained unusually sober. Cove voiced the consensus of the locals. I've never been to an ice cream truck either.
What?
Are you serious? Miranda nodded her head and Baxter's composure shifted into incredulity. Me neither.
Nope.
Same. Oh, so they all haven't been. When Baxter turned his head to you, you had nothing to offer. Sorry. There is an ice cream truck in Sunset Bird.
That's...
We have an ice cream stand on the shopping street. It's not exactly the same, but that's how it is. I've only gone to ice cream parlors and got ice cream from the freezer part of grocery stores.
Me too.
But sometimes my family makes it homemade. Baxter grinned, for once on the same ground as his new companions. I've normally only eaten at restaurants after a meal. I never realized that ice cream trucks were so rare. Unexpectedly, Cove was the first to agree with Baxter. He narrowed his eyes and spoke firmly. Then yeah, let's find a truck. I've got to do it at least one time.
Yeah.
Baxter's on to something. We've all been missing out. Terry raised the fist into the air in a dramatic pose. There has to be an ice cream truck somewhere in California. Okay. Baxter brightened more, seeing his suggestion receive support. Miranda smiled at him. You could only guess at her first impression of Baxter, but given how she had relaxed around him, you imagined he was growing on her. He wasn't as exceedingly self-assured as he came across at first blush, but it was nicer when Baxter was confident.
Let's do it.
That sounds fun. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Miranda reached into her bag and dug around for her phone. She pulled out a hair scrunchie, a small notepad with unicorns, and a bundle of chunky keychains. Her phone remained elusive. Just give me a sec. The rest of the group's mouth pulled into attentive, hopeful grins. Don't we all have phones? Why are we waiting on Miranda? There was an air of slight disbelief. Cove mulled it over while tapping his foot. Wherever it is, we're gonna have to drive to get there. I think so. None are in town, right? And everywhere else is far away. She finally retrieved her phone and started to search on her Maps app. She tapped her screen with a frown.
I'm not sure.
It's already a late afternoon, too. I wonder if ice cream trucks are even still going around. We had to believe. It's too soon to give up. Cove nodded, patting at his pockets. They were tellingly empty. I'll get my keys.
It's doable.
No need. Allow me. I asked to do this. It's only fair that I be the one to cover transportation. Besides, it's a rental. We may as well make the most of it while we have it. While I have it. Alright. Cove raised his shoulders in a bewildered shrug. Baxter ran his fingers through his hair to swipe his bangs, and they fell exactly back into place after. I will return in only a moment. Terry shot him a thumbs up and Miranda mumbled absentmindedly, focused on her task. Baxter flipped towards his condo and headed off, his strides long and determined. Cove raised his voice at Baxter's back. We'll put our stuff away while you're off doing that. Baxter peered over his shoulder and answered.
Good.
Baxter was soon out of sight and Cove had gathered up all his things into a sturdy hold. He gestured with his chin to his house. I can use my place for storage. You were on board with that. You shifted your things around so they'd be more comfortable to move. Thanks, Cove. He appreciated his offer for the simple truth that his dad would care way less about the mess than your mom's. Oh my god. Childhood friend house. Cove led the group to file into the Holden household. Miranda brought up the rear, stumbling behind Terry. She was being led by the arm while still keeping her eyes on her phone. Sandy towels were dropped in a heap on the living room, one after the other. No one wasted even a second with organization, taking cues from Cove's rush. I need a minute. Gonna grab a shirt. He darted down the hall, his steps loud on the hard floor. You straightened out your shawl, suddenly conscious of what was on your body, after Cove brought up the topic. How cute. The orca shirt. Cove returned not decent in his orca t-shirt. Terry hooked her arm around Miranda's and used her other hand to wave towards the door. When you got out, you could see Baxter's shiny black vehicle idling on the street and awaiting its passengers. Can I please sit shotgun, please? Cove went for a seat in the back without consideration. He was not going to be in the front. But you would. Whether you're going to the passenger seat, Miranda and Terry followed Cove.
Hello.
Welcome to my car, friends. Do we know where we're going? Miranda nodded slightly and leaned forward to hold her phone up. Her persistence had bared fruit. There are some suburbs surrounding the city where ice cream trucks have routes during the summer. I can't tell exactly where they're going to be when we get there, though. That is more than enough. The two conferred on directions until Baxter decided to route towards a random neighborhood street in the area as a starting point. Chasing after our ice cream truck. He took off, the car gliding across the road with minimum vibration affecting the cabin. It was the smoothest ride you've ever had in a vehicle. In the heat of the excitement, Terry reached up from the middle seat and punched on the music. It connected to Baxter's song list, and your eardrums were struck by the pounding of a regular drum. A guitar riff shrieked out after. It was on a punk metal track. Excuse me, can the music be changed? You turned the music up even louder. Can it be turned off? You covered your ears. You leaned back in your seat, satisfied. Listen, I don't fucking judge people's taste in music. It's whatever. Listen to what you want. This was your kind of music. Who knew it was his? Well, it's not really my type of music, but I'm still listening to it. As the drive continued, the music brought on an almost surreal feel to the trip. The shredding guitars and shouted lyrics were a weird contrast to your goal of finding an ice cream truck. It inserted the humorous and mental picture of an ice cream truck playing screaming, pucking music instead of twinkling tunes to summon children for icy treats. Zipping through the length of Sunset Bird, in no time you flew past the "now leaving" sign. Past that, the car zoomed down the open road while Miranda attempted to dig up more details on the elusive ice cream trucks. Do they have socials? Maybe someone tagged them in a pic, or they're live tweeting. Huh? Why would an ice cream truck be on Twitter? And I can't even find out their hours for sure. I believe in you. Minutes added up, as did the miles. The city got closer, but the shadows closed in faster. The sun glinted from behind distant skyscrapers. Calling it late afternoon and was being generous. It was evening. Unspoken tension began to form. The odds of an ice cream truck being active dropped with every passing second. But Miranda continued the search and Baxter kept driving. As planned, he turned off the highway and followed the streets into the heart of the suburbs. He rode through their neighbors aimlessly until... Yes! Miranda beamed and shoved her phone up to the front. You found one? There's a truck that's still open and nearby. It was on Facebook. I think if we go down their route, we'll find it at some point.
No way.
Amazing.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, who uses Facebook? People who want ice cream, let's go. Please direct me, I can't read the post. First, take a left at this next stop sign. Baxter clicked off the music to focus on Miranda's words. He also opened his window. Terry and Co followed Baxter's lead, but Terry could get further and pushed her head out of the window as far as the seatbelt would let her, hands cupped around her ears. Cove would lean farther out when he saw anything even kind of truck-shaped. Everyone had their ears and eyes wide open for any signs. If an ice cream truck was somewhere in the area, they weren't going to miss it. You opened yours too, you did too, and stuck your head out, you left your window shut. No, we're gonna open ours. It took a second to locate the correct button on the door. It was as sleek and unobtrusive as the rest of the machine, and that made it tricky to see when you didn't know where to look. You pressed it down until the glass beside you completely disappeared. At such a slow pace, the wind coming through whipped at your hair gently, pleasantly. Much less nicely, a fine dust blew in from the street. You squinted against the dirt in the sun. It had sunk low enough to be perpendicular with your eye line. Still no truck to be seen. The houses past seemed older, probably built decades ago. Some had colorful lawn decorations and well-kept flower gardens. Others were nothing but green grass. Conversation stopped entirely once Miranda had told Baxter all he needed to know. He drove through the residential streets like a hunter on the prowl. The target could have been anywhere. You turned a corner. Faint laughter filtered in through the windows. You heard birds chirping and rustling leaves. But in that moment, none of that mattered. That's not what you needed. Fingers were crossed and breaths were held. Baxter turned yet again towards the signs of life, and a new sound gradually floated in from the distance. You concentrated on the high-pitched jingling tune. Was it? It had to be. It was the musical call of an ice cream truck. Nobody could see it yet, despite there being watchers on all sides, but the sound got louder. Baxter followed it persistently, his fingers tightening their grip on the wheel. That jingle was the Pied Piper, and everyone was drawn in by it. The car came up to the crossroads and stopped. That instant, a clamor filled the car. Everyone, even the ever-relaxed Baxter, cheered or gasped in sync. An ice cream truck drove right by in front of your very eyes. It was technically white, but covered with so many brightly colored pictures, the original paint was more of an accent. Stickers with warnings such as "Go slow" and "Watch your children" stood out in red, and recognizable characters and edible versions were in a grid, labeling them as A1 or C3 for convenient ordering. It was like a moving treasure chest of frozen goodness, and the temptation was too strong for some. Oh my god, I just remembered that Choco Tacos are not a thing, and that was Tyler's favorite off the ice cream list. Still in the middle of the intersection, Cove's door popped open, and his seatbelt zipped up against the cushion with nothing left to protect. Cove was gone. You leapt out, you waited for Baxter. We're gonna wait for him to get out. Terry and Miranda went after Cove. Terry, with her usual exuberance, yelled, "Oh yeah!" Well, I appreciate their enthusiasm. He glanced at you, not taking the turn just yet. Are you going? No thanks.
You're good.
You're very polite. You didn't think it was much. You weren't so impatient that you'd throw yourself out on the street or abandon the one who drove you there. The rest of them could handle that. I was gonna say, you can't just abandon the driver. Cove jogged after the truck. Terry cheered and waved, trying to catch the driver's attention. Miranda skipped behind her, moving her arms in wide motions. I feel like this is a situation of like, you're tying your shoes while your friends are going ahead. Like, what friend would stop and realize you're not there kind of situation. Trust me, I will be that friend. I will turn around and wait for you. I'm not gonna be just continuing on, I'm just gonna assume you're gonna come follow me. Don't worry. If you don't have one of those friends, you need one of them friends. The truck lurched to a stop. They'd done it. Excellent. Excitement was plain on his face, but Baxter cautiously turned to where the truck and your friends had gone. He parked on the opposite side and opposite end of the nearly empty street. Baxter grinned as he finally unbuckled. Shall we? Ooh, we are in the suburbs. They left the properly stopped vehicle and crossed the street together. The other three huddled around the large menu pasted on the broad side of the truck. I literally thought it was a crepe icon. Well, we'll figure it out when we finish this section of DLC. But thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.